Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful today.
Sheila's sounds will alarm Luna, but Ridge says yes to Taylor. There is no reason for Taylor Hayes to put off getting married to Ridge Forrester again. Taylor will therefore make another proposal in the hopes that Ridge will accept it and marry her. Ridge will undoubtedly appear apprehensive about making such a significant move, but he doesn't want to disappoint Taylor. Ridge simply cannot refuse Taylor when she is sitting there wearing her own ring and wearing an eager expression. According to BNB teasers, when Ridge accepts the engagement, Taylor will be overjoyed. After Taylor puts on the ring, she will give Ridge a passionate kiss and anticipate carrying on the festivities at home. Nick Marone will choose to update Brooke Logan once he has finished listening in on their marriage conversation. Nick is going to be heading to Forrester Creations shortly to share the news of Ridge and Taylor's engagement. Katie Logan will continue to accept that Ridge is only with Taylor because he promised her. Katie could be more worried about Ridge actually keeping that promise this time, though. Brooke will counter that Ridge and Taylor are both aware that their possessions are fake. Despite Brooke's belief that Taylor and Ridge will soon end their romance, the impending engagement announcement will cause her to experience some heartache. More information about Will Spencer's impending trap will also be revealed to BNB fans. Will insist that he is prepared for this as he equips himself with a wire for his journey to Luna Nozawa. Steffi Forrester will ask Will if he is certain about this when John Finnegan reminds him of how dangerous Will is. Despite the dangers, Will follow through on his promise to be the one to rescue them from the predicament Bill Spencer put them in. Bill's pardon of Luna created a lot of trouble, but Will wants to get Luna to confess to the Steffi scheme and put her back in jail. Sheila Sharp will raise the alarm about Will abruptly messaging Luna back as he hugs Electra Forrester and gets ready to enter the lion's den. Sheila will note that Will's unexpected reaction looks odd, but Luna will be too consumed by Will to see things Sheila's way, at least for the time being. Luna is going to disregard the warning signs and invite Will into her house despite Sheila's suspicions that he might be preparing a trap. The atmosphere in the cliff house shimmered with tension and hope, the salty ocean breeze outside brushing against the glass doors like a soft whisper of fate pushing two souls together again. Taylor Hayes stood firm in her resolve, clutching a velvet ring box as if her entire future hinged on Ridge Forrester's next breath. She wasn't just a woman in love, she was a woman ready to reclaim her family, her destiny, and the life she had always imagined. Her eyes sparkled with a blend of nerves and unwavering determination as she extended the box toward Ridge, her voice trembling only slightly. "Ridge," she said, pausing just long enough for the gravity of her words to register. "We've wasted too many years dancing around what we both know is real. Let's not wait anymore. Marry me, again." Ridge, stunned into silence, looked down at the ring with the weight of memory and legacy crashing over him like the Pacific surf. Every glance between them carried decades of shared laughter, heartbreak, betrayal, and redemption. Though his heart still fluttered at the thought of Brooke, Ridge couldn't bring himself to deny Taylor, not here, not now, not when she looked at him with such fierce hope and genuine belief. The world had spun out of control so many times, but in that moment, with Taylor holding a future in her outstretched hand, Ridge nodded slowly. "Yes," he whispered. "Yes, Taylor. Let's do it." She gasped, half in shock and half in glee, before sliding the ring onto her own finger, laughing breathlessly as she pulled Ridge into a kiss that seemed to rewind the clock, sealing a promise of forever, or at least a promise of a new beginning. Unbeknownst to them, just outside the slightly ajar door, Nick Marone lurked, having heard every word. His brow furrowed as he processed the implications. Ridge and Taylor engaged, again? He had thought this triangle was resolved years ago, but history, it seemed, was repeating itself in the most dramatic of ways. Without wasting a moment, Nick turned on his heel and headed straight for Forrester Creations, determined to be the one to deliver this earth-shattering news to Brooke Logan. Meanwhile, across town, Brooke sat at her desk, lost in a memory that played like an old film reel in her mind, her first kiss with Ridge, the wedding that never should have ended, the heartbreak that never quite healed. Katie Logan walked in quietly, holding a coffee mug like a peace offering. "You know," Katie began gently, "Ridge is only with Taylor because he made a promise. That's who he is, he doesn't walk away from a vow. But that doesn't mean he's truly over you." Brooke sighed, brushing a lock of hair behind her ear. "I know Ridge. I know his heart. And I know whatever he has with Taylor, it isn't real. It never was. They're trying to recreate something that died a long time ago. But before she could say more, Nick burst in, his face flushed with urgency. Brooke, he said, you need to hear this. Ridge just said yes. He's engaged to Taylor. Brooke's face went pale. The words hit her like a punch to the chest, stealing her breath and her composure. The room spun for a moment as she stood, trying to absorb the betrayal, not just from Ridge, but from fate itself. No, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. He wouldn't. But as Nick recounted the scene with all the cruel details, Taylor on one knee, Ridge's hesitance melting into reluctant acceptance, the kiss that sealed the deal, Brooke felt the full weight of reality crash down. He chose her, she murmured. Katie reached out, but Brooke pulled away. No. He thinks he chose her. But he's confused. This won't last. Her voice turned steely with conviction. They're going to implode, just like they always do. And when they do, I'll be ready. But while Ridge and Taylor celebrated a rekindled romance and Brooke stewed in heartbreak disguised as righteous fury, another storm was brewing, one with far more dangerous stakes. At Spencer Publications, a covert operation was being launched, one that involved hidden mics, secret texts, and a family desperate to undo a terrible mistake. Will Spencer, older now, hardened by the knowledge of what his father had done to protect Luna Nozawa, stood in front of Steffi Forrester and John Finnegan, prepared for battle. I'm ready, Will said, fastening the tiny wire beneath his collar. We need to know the truth. Luna's hiding something, and I'm going to get her to confess. Finn, ever the protector, frowned. Just remember, she's not the same girl anymore. And if you get too close, she might smell the trap. But Will shook his head. She won't suspect a thing. She still thinks I'm hers. That's the leverage. Steffi stepped in, concern etched across her face. Be careful, Will. We're not just playing games here. If she senses what you're doing, she won't hesitate to retaliate. She's not innocent. She never was. As Will hugged Electra Forrester, who whispered a trembling "be safe" into his ear, Sheila Sharp sat hunched over her tablet, narrowing her eyes at a text message Luna had just received. The contact name? Will. The message? Can we talk? I've been thinking about you. Sheila's instincts, sharp as ever, screamed that something was wrong. She stormed into Luna's apartment, her eyes wild with panic. Don't answer that, she snapped. Luna, caught off guard, laughed nervously. It's just Will. He wants to talk. Maybe he's finally ready to be with me again. Sheila shook her head violently. No. It doesn't make sense. He hasn't said a word to you in months, and now out of nowhere he's ready to talk? You don't think that's suspicious? But Luna, blinded by the prospect of rekindling her twisted love story, scoffed. You're just jealous. You never wanted me to be happy. Sheila grabbed her by the shoulders. Luna, listen to me. Something's not right. Will's setting you up. I can feel it. But Luna pulled away, already texting back. I don't care what you think. He wants to see me, and I'm going to let him. And with that, Sheila's worst fears began to play out. As Luna set the scene for a romantic reunion, candles, wine, a low-cut dress meant to spark memories and manipulate emotions, Will parked outside, his heart thudding in his chest. He clutched the small audio transmitter in his hand and took a deep breath. All he had to do was get her talking. Get her to admit what really happened with Steffi. Get her to confess the part she played in Bill Spencer's blackmail scheme. Across town, Ridge and Taylor toasted their engagement, blissfully unaware of the web of secrets and betrayals about to unravel. But even in the glow of rekindled love, Ridge's eyes occasionally drifted, not to the past, but to an uncertain future that no amount of proposals could erase. Because while he had said yes to Taylor, the ghost of Brooke Logan lingered like an echo he couldn't silence. And far from the celebrations and schemes, Sheila stood by the window, watching the night darken over Los Angeles. She didn't trust Will. She didn't trust Luna. And most of all, she didn't trust the story everyone else was pretending to believe. Something was coming. Something big. And when it hit, no one, not Ridge, not Taylor, not Brooke, not Will, would be safe from the fallout. Is Taylor intentionally being made to look bad? Is Taylor intentionally being made to appear bad? Many fans are curious about that. For all the information you require, continue reading below. Is Taylor intentionally being made to look bad? It has been noted by BNB fans that Taylor's attire simply gets worse every day. Her wardrobe is neither traditional nor timeless, nor is it fashionable or stylish. Her entire appearance can be summed up in one word: terrible. Of course, there was a lot to say about the issue on the internet. Not only does Taylor look awful, but now she's going from person to person, trying to convince them that Brooke and Ridge belong together, some people have even said. After that, she approaches Ridge and attempts to persuade him to acknowledge that he shares her opinion. What's up with Taylor's clothes? Another program viewer commented, her dialogue and clothes are awful. The fashion show was held how long ago? The writers are unable to provide her with anything more engaging to say to Eric than discussing the fashion show, Brooke's performance as the showstopper, and awkwardly asking him if he prefers her or Brooke with Ridge. Additionally, this statement was made, Taylor has always had a gorgeous style and appearance. This Taylor has become drab and sulky by them. Why can't the styling department give her a little more glitz? She is not to blame for that. The previous Taylor had some adorable attire. I think of a men's shirt with stripes and gems and rhinestones. I was looking for one. What comes next on BNB is still up in the air. To find out what will happen next, fans will just need to watch every single day. To understand the frustration many fans feel about Taylor's current portrayal, we must first acknowledge who Taylor has been over the years. Introduced in 1990, Dr. Taylor Hayes, originally played by Hunter Tylo, was a strong, compassionate psychiatrist who quickly became a fan favorite. She was intelligent, emotionally grounded, and classically beautiful, a powerful contrast to her often fiery rival, Brooke Logan. Taylor's initial characterization was that of a woman of depth and intellect, often acting as the moral compass of the show. Whether counseling patients, navigating personal tragedies, or contending for Ridge's affections, Taylor was respected for her dignity and strength. Her glamorous wardrobe only underscored her confidence and elegance. So, what changed? The return of Taylor and the shift in presentation. When Krista Allen took over the role of Taylor Hayes in 2021, fans were eager to see a beloved character reimagined. While many initially welcomed Allen's version, praising her energy and warmth, that sentiment began to sour as Taylor's storylines, and especially her appearance, began to feel increasingly uninspired and even degrading. Criticism of Taylor's fashion choices began trickling in from online communities almost immediately. Fans noted how her outfits were often frumpy, ill-fitting, and oddly styled, especially jarring for a character with a long history of elegance. Instead of exuding confidence and grace, Taylor began to look uncomfortable, mismatched, and even dowdy, words rarely, if ever, used to describe her in the past. Wardrobe wars: what happened to Taylor's style? The change in wardrobe hasn't gone unnoticed. Fashion has always played an important role in the bold and the beautiful. After all, the show revolves around Forrester Creations, a fictional fashion house. As such, it's particularly jarring when a lead female character is styled so poorly. Online reactions have been brutal. Who is dressing Taylor? She looks like she stepped out of a 2005 bargain bin. Why are they making her look so matronly? It's not Krista's fault, this is wardrobe sabotage. How can someone look worse every episode? This is intentional. It's not just one outfit or two. Fans have pointed to a pattern: outfits that are either oversized and shapeless or weirdly juvenile. And it's not just the clothes themselves, it's the way they seem to be deliberately juxtaposed with the much more glamorous looks of characters like Brooke and Steffi. Taylor consistently appears less polished, less confident, and less assertive than her counterparts. In a show that uses appearance to reinforce character dynamics, this contrast feels too intentional to be accidental. Character behavior, out of sync with the past. Wardrobe alone wouldn't be enough to spark a full-on theory that Taylor is being undermined, but it's compounded by the shifts in her character's behavior. In past storylines, Taylor was the calm, logical counterpart to Brooke's impulsive, passionate energy. She was a doctor, a humanitarian, a woman who stood for reason and compassion. But lately, her role has been diminished. Viewers have noticed Taylor becoming desperate, frequently inserting herself into Ridge's life even after making empowering speeches about independence. Indecisive, waffling between supporting Brooke and trying to win Ridge back. Passive, instead of taking control, Taylor often stands in the background, watching events unfold. A particularly troubling trend is her new tendency to promote Brooke and Ridge's reunion, even if it hurts her. For longtime fans, this is a shocking reversal. Why would Taylor, who was once a fierce rival to Brooke, suddenly advocate for a love story that excludes her? The dialogue problem, bland, repetitive, and reductive. The writing hasn't helped matters. Dialogue is the lifeblood of soap operas. Characters don't just speak, they emote, reveal intentions, and drive plot with every word. Yet Taylor's dialogue lately has been bland, repetitive, and reductive. She's often relegated to saying things like, "Brooke and Ridge are destined to be together. Remember the fashion show? You need to follow your heart, Ridge." This dialogue strips her of any real identity or drive. She no longer expresses her ambitions, insights, or emotional complexity. Instead, she's become a narrative tool, used to push other characters' stories forward, not her own. Worse, her conversations often revolve around Brooke, Ridge, or some outdated event like the fashion show, as if her world has shrunk to a few talking points. It feels lazy at best, and malicious at worst. Fan frustration: are writers gaslighting the audience? The word gaslighting gets thrown around a lot in media criticism, but in this case, it may not be far off the mark. Fans have expressed a growing sense that they are being manipulated, that the show is deliberately altering the way Taylor looks and behaves in order to make other characters, namely, Brooke and Ridge, more appealing. In forums and fan groups, viewers ask, are we supposed to believe Brooke is the hero now? Is Taylor just here to prop up Ridge and Brooke's story? Why bring Taylor back if they were going to tear her down? This sense of betrayal stems from deep loyalty. Fans who have supported Taylor for decades now feel alienated, as if their favorite character is being sacrificed to serve a recycled love triangle or a stale narrative arc. Industry context: when characters are written down. This isn't the first time soap opera writers have been accused of writing down a character, diminishing their appeal to elevate others. It often happens when shows want to pivot attention back to legacy couples or long-running plot lines. In Taylor's case, her current storyline seems less about her growth and more about positioning Brooke as the emotional center of BNB. That shift might please certain segments of the audience, but it alienates others. Moreover, there's an industry-wide issue of ageism and sexism that's hard to ignore. As female characters age, they are often styled in more conservative clothing, given less romantic agency, and redefined by motherhood or rivalry. Taylor seems to be experiencing all of this at once. Counterpoint: could this be building toward a redemption arc? To be fair, not every fan sees Taylor's current arc as a permanent descent. Some suggest it's part of a slow-burn redemption arc, a low point from which she will rise stronger. Perhaps the wardrobe is meant to reflect a period of uncertainty, and the awkward dialogue signals an identity crisis that will later be resolved. Maybe Taylor's humility and vulnerability are setting the stage for a triumphant return. But if that's the case, the build-up is taking too long, and many fans aren't sticking around to see it. When viewers feel disrespected, they tune out. Krista Allen deserves better. Much of the fan frustration also stems from the perception that Krista Allen, the actress portraying Taylor, is being let down by the show's creative direction. Allen is talented, charismatic, and beloved by many. Yet she's being asked to wear ill-fitting clothes, deliver weak dialogue, and act against the established strengths of her character. It's a waste of both talent and potential. Taylor could be leading stories about mental health, relationships, career, or healing, topics right in her wheelhouse. Instead, she's sidelined. If the writers are not deliberately sabotaging the character, they are at the very least guilty of negligence. The broader implications, why it matters. Taylor Hayes is more than just a character, she represents a generation of women who have grown with the show. Watching her be reduced to a prop in someone else's love story feels personal to many viewers. This controversy reflects broader trends in media, how women are treated as they age, how characters of substance are flattened for plot convenience, and how fashion and appearance are wielded as tools of narrative control. If B&B truly wants to honor its legacy and its fans, it must do better by Taylor and by Krista Allen. Conclusion: yes, it looks intentional, and that's a problem. So, is Taylor being made to look bad on purpose? Based on the wardrobe choices, the flattening of her character, the weak dialogue, and the shifting dynamics around her, the answer seems to be yes, or at least, it's happening with such consistency that it feels intentional. Whether the motivation is to make Brooke look better, to simplify the love triangle, or simply due to lazy writing, the result is the same: a powerful, iconic character has been diminished. Fans deserve better. Krista Allen deserves better. And most of all, Taylor Hayes deserves the same respect, glamour, and complexity that made her a legend on The Bold and the Beautiful in the first place. If the showrunners are listening, the message is clear: it's time to bring back the real Taylor.